breaking news this afternoon as the Supreme Court decided to lift an injunction allowing the Trump administration to end TPS, temporary protected status, for about 350,000 Venezuelans in the United States. Joining me live now to react to this and talk about what comes next is Congressman Darren Soto, who is a Democrat representing Florida's 9th District. And Congressman, we really appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Well, thanks for having me, Garrett. It's a sad day for Florida to see the Supreme Court uphold the termination of Venezuela TPS, knowing that we have hundreds of thousands of family members of American citizens here in Florida who will be deported because of this ruling.
Yeah, just kind of give me your initial thoughts when this came down. I know this is an issue that you've been working on in Congress and have been outspoken about. Just kind of give me your initial thoughts to hearing this about when the Supreme Court decided this.
Well, I passed a bill out of the House twice that granted temporary protective status to Venezuelans. It passed in a bipartisan fashion, including many Florida Democrats and Republicans voting for it. We eventually saw President Biden granted after an analysis that Venezuela's in chaos. You have a dictator down there murdering their people, and so granting this because of that emergency down there was the humane thing to do. It also helped out our local economy. Now, I saw so many small businesses and large businesses during the pandemic not have enough employees. And so this program, along with the parole program, which also affects Cubans, Haitians, and others, was a big part of improving the workforce for Florida. And so this is not only going to tear apart families, but also hurt Florida's economy.
What do you think needs to happen next?
We have a bipartisan bill with Representative Salazar and Wasserman Schultz that would redesignate Venezuela TPS. So that is a vehicle that could be passed out of the House. It'd be a tough road ahead to get it done. And in the meantime, I would encourage folks who were here on temporary protective status, you're still allowed to file individual claims for asylum. So if you have a potential asylum claim, I would certainly hire an attorney to press that claim. And, I'm worried about tourism and agriculture, service industry and construction, where you have a lot of folks who are immigrants working in those industries, some of our biggest industries. And I'm also worried about small businesses who may not have enough employees. Florida, we're blessed with a low unemployment rate, but it means it's tough to get employees for a lot of businesses, especially in areas that don't pay that much. And so this was helpful for a lot of these businesses that are now going to struggle.
Why is this TPS program so important, specifically for that Venezuelan community, in your opinion?
Because it's a disaster down there. We see a dictator who's murdering his own people. They're starving. Their economy is contracted by multiple magnitudes. And a lot of these folks, they've lived in Florida now 2 to 4 to 6 years or longer. There's a large Venezuelan American population also in Florida. We have the largest diaspora in the nation in our state. And so these are family members of American citizens, many of whom now will struggle to be able to remain in the country. And when they're sent back, many of them, they attacked the dictator Maduro, and now they're going to face a risk of persecution, maybe even jail or death when they're sent back. And so it's a real unfortunate situation.
Why do you think the Trump administration is taking this step?
So there's no doubt they've had a crackdown on unlawful immigrants, but these folks were here legally under temporary protective status. They've made a lot of hay on the Tren de Aragua, the gang that has some members in the United States. And if folks are committing crime and they're immigrants, they certainly need to be deported. But this was a small minority of folks. In fact, we see a lot of folks who were tempted to be deported as being part of this alleged gang because they had tattoos, only to find out that most of them had no criminal record or ties to organized crime. And so in the scare to get out some of these bad apples, we see a lot of folks who are otherwise law-abiding, productive members of our society who are here lawfully that now will be deported.
And you touched on this a couple of times in this interview here, but what impact do you think this could have on Florida?
So first, we could see prices rise. We could see services take longer to provide. We could see small businesses that can't find employees, especially your mom and pop restaurants, the local farms, some of the smaller attractions, and it could also affect new home prices and construction because, Florida, for all those industries, a third of our workers are immigrants. So you have Floridians already working, and that's still not enough to do the kind of demand that's out there for our growing state. And our state trends older. So we have a lot of folks who they're here, they're retired, and they require a lot of services. They also have built up a nice nest egg to afford it. And this could raise costs on these folks as well as the businesses that they look to be engaged with.
Still pushing ahead with the Venezuela TPS Act?
Yes, absolutely. We just filed it last week, and it's bipartisan. We're going to give it every effort, but it's going to be a tough road ahead, no doubt. And in the meantime, now this will go to individual asylum cases and deportations of folks, and we'll see how that goes.
What is the bottom line here? Specifically, folks maybe who are here under TPS right now and have questions about what this may mean for them. What do you want them to know? What would you say to them?
The bottom line, first, we appreciate you being in Florida and helping make our economy grow. Very key that you get an attorney now. You may have an individual asylum claim, and you need to seek legal counsel for that. But now the 350,000 folks, many of whom are in Florida, who are on Venezuelan TPS now could face deportation. So it's important to know your rights.
And obviously, this fits into many actions of when it comes to immigration by the Trump administration, by Governor DeSantis here in Florida. And just what do you make of the kind of overall landscape of things when it comes to the immigration enforcement and crackdown that you talked about?
Well, everybody wants lawful immigration. And part of the fact that we have folks here who are unlawful is because there hasn't been immigration reform in many years, including for dreamers and for keeping families together and helping out farm workers. And as a result of the failure to have reform, you have a lot of folks who have been working here for many years and who are productive parts of our society who are now facing deportation. Some folks may appreciate these quick deportations, but people will miss these folks when they're gone because a third of so many of our industries are immigrant workers, right? And it's one of the ways we've been able to grow as a state, and we continue to have low unemployment. So Central Floridians, Tampa Bay residents, and folks from across the state are still able to get jobs, and yet that's not enough. And so if you want to start a new small business, you may struggle to get enough workers, right? And so so much so that the Florida legislature's solution was to let kids work longer, which is a red flag for me, that they know that our economy can be in trouble, especially small businesses, as you deport all these workers who are otherwise law-abiding, that they need to have expanded efforts for Florida's kids to work because they know there's going to be workforce shortages, and that limits growth, that raises prices, that hurts our economy.
Congressman Darren Soto, we appreciate you joining us this afternoon here on Florida Live.
Thanks for having me, Garrett.